eternal, it's in contracting like for infinity, right? But then you have some people that do say it has a beginning, starting with what you talk about, the Big Bang, whereas, you know, it starts off that small and begins to expand, right? So for the people that go with the majority view of the universe having a beginning, I mean, they even give it an age for the universe. They say it's 14 billion years old. So for it to have an age, it has a beginning, right? So with that said,
well, you can ask a question and then answer the question and then dismiss it out of hand as that the question is answered. If you do that, there's no point in even asking the question.
Do you agree that the universe is 14 billion years old?
Yeah. Approximately.
Okay, so right? Okay. So the beginning of that 14 billion years is basically this. You have groups of people that say, hey, there was no thinking involved, right? It was a reaction of some sort. It wasn't no conscious decision to the reaction. It was just the reaction itself, and that caused it.
Yeah, it was science. It was physics. It was chemistry.
And then deists will say, okay, yes, there's a reaction that say, but we think something consciously caused that reaction. And that's really what it all boils down to. A non-thinking reaction versus something causing it.
That's not true. That's absolutely not true. Because your non-thinking, whatever it is, your intelligent designer, to you, existed prior to existence, the universe, or what you call it, the existence. Correct?
Okay.
Am I right?
I mean, I thought we agreed that existence was eternal.
Existence is eternal.
Okay, so I'm talking about the universe.
And existence, when I say eternal, I mean existence is infinite.
Right. So
we agree on that, right?
Right. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. If the universe is 14 billion years old, there is a before the universe. Okay. Now, what atheists will say, what caused the universe?
Now, hold on. You speak for yourself, and I'll speak for the atheists. You started off this whole conversation. Excuse me. Hold on a minute. You started off this whole conversation where you said, you're an atheist, right? I said, yes. So you let me speak on the side of atheists, and you do not speak for atheists. Because if you do that, then I'm going to speak for the side of stupid Christians. Okay.
If you can give evidence for that, go for it.
Okay. So look, I won't even use the word atheist at this point. I'll just say
but don't speak for atheists.
Okay. I won't even. Is beyond atheism, right?
No, it's not beyond atheism. Don't say you're an atheist, therefore you think this, and therefore you think that.
No. I'm not going to say that. Listen, I'm not going to.
Inevitably, you're going to be wrong.
No, I'm not going to pigeonhole you into one atheist. I'm not going to make you the atheist spokesperson, okay? I'm not going to do that, all right? So I'm saying the majority of physicists, okay, whether they be atheists or not.
Don't speak for physics. Speak for your supernatural creator. I'll speak for the natural world. You speak for the supernatural world, and we'll see how we can. We'll see where we can sort of come to agreement.
That's very condescending. And first of all,
no, it's not.
I would argue that we're more.
So look.
Hold on, let him finish.
Oh, he was talking?
Yeah.
No. You go for it.
You said you told me I was condescending, and you would argue that you are more what?
I'm not making. Listen, there's naturalist views I agree with, so it's not a dichotomy like that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The naturalist views do not fit in with creationist views. There's nowhere for them to intersect. There's nowhere for the creationism to be crowbarred into the series of infinite physical events. There's just nowhere.
You have to hear me out a little bit.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. I have naturalistic views. Like if I get a seed and I plant it in the ground and it grows, it's a natural thing where the sun is making it with the dirt. And so it's not this dichotomy of I have to think everything is magical or everything natural, right? So we're not going to create a false dichotomy like that, right? So what I'm saying is that many physicists, right, whether they be atheists or theists or whatever they are, say the universe is 14 billion years old, right?
Yes, now, but I'm going to say that many evangelists say the earth is flat, right? So the earth is flat, right? Because many evangelists say that the earth is flat. In fact, not only evangelists say that the earth is flat, there are many Christians who say that the earth is flat. So therefore, the earth is flat, right?
No, that's not.
That's a straw man.
That is a straw man. No, what I'm saying is that
it's a straw man because you got caught in a corner and you can't put yourself out.
You didn't hear what I just said. Right. I said there are theists and atheists that think the earth is 14 billion years old. It's not a us versus them thing with the 14
Nobody
billion.
Thinks the earth is 14 years old. There's proof that the earth is 7 billion years old. There's proof. There's no thought involved. The thought involved is following. The thought involved is following the evidence.
We're grasping at straws. I mean, if you ask the scientists.
And when you say follow the evidence, the fossil doesn't come with a label saying it's old. You have to put certain assumptions into radiometric dating, and you got to assume that those rates and conditions have always been the same, and those are disputable.
Okay, so
you know what? This is all the obfuscations I've heard before. There's nothing new in what you say.
I mean, look. I think you're just wanting to fight, and you're not really trying to listen to what I'm saying.
The idea here is that God does not exist, and you have not provided any reason for me to change my mind.
Okay,
because of the impossibility of the contrary.
I'm not. It's not even
God
about
doesn't exist. Of course, it's not. I'm not going to change my mind.
Okay. So ask an
Give us
atheist,
some logic and some reason.
Okay, so check it out. Okay. I'm not trying to convince you that God exists. I'm trying to boil it down to what precisely is the disagreement. Okay, so if we
I know what the disagreement is.
Okay, so if we both agree that there is something before this universe, if the universe has an age.
Obviously, there's something before this universe because existence is infinite.
Okay, great. So we agree on that.
Can't you connect that?
So we agree with that.
Existence is infinite. It never had a beginning, and it's not going to have an end.
Right. Beautiful. Now, since we both agree on that,
yes,
there are two views to this.
One view. There's one view.
Okay.
Actually, there's probably a million views, but there's one correct view.
There's two views in regards to my argument. Okay.
Right, go ahead.
So, when you have these two views, you have this. Okay, this world before the universe. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One group of people says there's not a thinking thing within this world of the universe, and the universe basically kind of created itself. Right?
No,
you have one group of people that say
that. You are wrong there.
So there's not a
the universe did not create itself. How can you possibly make a statement like that? A universe created itself.
I can give a quote from Alan Guth.
I don't care, but explain to me logically, what do you mean by the universe created itself?
Meaning that there was no thinking thing involved in making it. It was a reaction of some sort spontaneously that occurred on its own without any theological.
Does the sun make itself? No.
Well, that's
what you're saying.
Well, but no,
the universe burst into something from absolutely nothing, zero, nada.
That's not true. You see, that's where you're. Hold on a second. You are both wrong. You are both wrong. You are both wrong. You are both wrong when you say absolutely nothing, because that is proven to be. That is proven to be because that is proven to be untrue.
Ask an atheist.
No. Listen, guys. I'm quoting a physicist here, Alan Guth. You can check this on the web.
I don't have to. I'm telling you that it didn't start from nothing. Okay? It started from something. There was always something. There was never nothing. So you are wrong.
Okay. So listen. I didn't even bring up the nothing argument. okay, something's before the universe. We agree with that. And I'm saying that there is a group of people that say this something before the universe is not a thinking thing. It just occurred and it happened completely on its own. Okay? So you have one group of people that think that's the case. But then you have another group of people that think there is some kind of thinking thing, and that this thinking thing caused the universe to happen.
Okay, so they think there's a thinking being, but that's just a thought. Right?
Yeah, those are the two explanations for the universe.
Oh, okay. So you've obviously lost out because the second one is just an idea and a thought, where the first one has data behind it and logical thinking and critical thinking and analysis and putting a whole bunch of points together. Right?
No, neither one are conclusive.
Absolutely wrong.
What's conclusive?
What's conclusive? What's conclusive?
He's absolutely right.
Before the universe is inconclusive. We don't know what was before the universe. Whether you take a
but you cannot crowbar intelligence before the universe for no reason.
Okay, Alvin, I think I can summarize it very easily. The Kalam is very easy to understand. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. That must be an uncaused cause.
The Kalam is bullshit. Excuse me, I don't accept the Kalam. Nobody does.
Why is that? Why do you think it's weird?
Because it's bullshit. That's why.
No. Why?
Because nothing just begins to exist. Nothing just begins to exist. Don't you understand? It's not there's no such physical instance of a nothingness turning into a somethingness. It doesn't. It's not.
Right.
It's not science. It doesn't happen. Okay.
Okay. But we can agree that things get created from.
No,
material.
we cannot agree that anything gets created.
Well, a chair gets created from material, from pre-existing material.
A chair gets designed. A chair gets conceived, designed, drafted, prototype, built. I mean, don't give me that a chair gets created. Bullshit.
I'm still trying to point out that everything has a cause of its existence. I'm not saying everything comes out of nothing necessarily.
Yes, everything has a cause. There we go. Everything has a cause. So therefore, if everything has a cause, your God has a cause. So drop the God thing. Drop the God. Drop the God thing.
You're doing what you just said. I don't exist
and I am God.
Okay. That's not what you were saying, man.
Oh yes, he was. Oh yes, he was. Why? Is there special rules for God?
No. Listen. There's a distinction.
You know what? You dug the hole and jumped right into it. Sorry.
Look, man, and Corey, basically, it's like this. People have a non-thinking cause, and other people have a thinking cause. Okay, Deist thinks the cause is caused by a thinking thing. Atheist thinks the cause is not a thinking thing. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. But the stupidity of a thinking being does not equate to the logic of a non-thinking being, of a non-existent, of it just being natural. The logical conclusion is that it's natural. Okay, the thinking being is crowbarred in there somehow for no reason whatsoever.
A thinking being can be natural.
But what can be natural?
A thinking being can be natural. We're thinking things and we're natural.
Exactly. There you go. You just knocked the second nail into your coffin. He did the first one. Now you've gone the second one.
What I'm saying is, just because something is thinking doesn't need to be supernatural. You could have a pre-universe.
So your creator created the universe from within the universe?
I'm saying you could have a pre-universe creature of some sort. I'll use the word creature. We don't have to use God.
But if you're using creature, that creature was created. And so on and so on and so on until we get the grand poobah of creatures. And then you got to ask the grand poobah of creatures, who's your daddy?
Alvin, can I tear him apart?
Yes.
What you say?
Stir it.
Can I tear him apart?
Yeah. See, look, here's the thing. do you want infinite regressing events or infinite regressing creatures? Because there's going to be an infinite regression anyway.
Yes,
with
but
the
infinite
worldview,
the infinite regression, Sir Elvin. Elvin, the infinite regression is asymptotic, so it doesn't really count as.
No, you're going to have you want an infinite regression of events. This event happened.
Yes.
Okay, so there's going to be an infinite regression either way. If you think it's a creature, you're going to infinite regress the lineage of that creature. And if you're going to just attribute it to non-thinking events, you're going to have an infinite regression of events. There's an infinite regression either way. Or you just have one thing that's eternal, one creature that's just eternal. You figured it out somehow. Or an event that just happened that sparked it off that's eternal. That's continually and never ending, right? So it's just those are the two things that people really debate about.
No, sir. You would do yourself a favor by taking yourself off and spending some time, lots of time, at least 5 hours in the science museum.
The science, all the science museums tell me the effects of what has already happened. Okay,
well, you'll understand them. You'll understand them, and you'll be able to. If you go to the science museum, you will be prompted to ask questions, and once you start asking questions, the questions never stop. So I encourage you to start asking questions.
Listen, the questions I have no answers to them. Scientists don't know this world before the universe.
So a question doesn't have an answer, it shouldn't be asked?
Science don't know what exactly caused life. They got an idea, but they don't know exactly what was the thing that made non-living stuff living, right? So these are the questions that people debate about. Because these are the two questions.
The answer is still science. In the end.
Okay, I mean, but science is this ambiguous thing that's not.
Well, there's nothing ambiguous about science. Excuse me, you're talking religion here. You're not talking science. Science is very exact. The ambiguity is in your Bible.
Okay, listen. When an alchemist does something, he calls it science. Okay, it is a science, but is it accurate? No, but you can still classify it as a science. That's what I'm saying. Science can get very vague when you just use it like a...
You are doing exactly what I asked you not to do earlier. You're starting to talk for scientists, and I asked you not to because you do not know...
No, we're talking about the word science.
You do not know what you speak.
Hold on. No, we're talking about the word science, not scientists. This word science.
You were talking about alchemy. How can we be talking about science?
What I'm saying is that you could call something a science, and it could be completely wrong.
Well,
okay.
What's your point?
So if I do a scientific experiment, it's a scientific experiment, and you know what? Sometimes I can draw the wrong conclusions. Okay.
I'd like to welcome my friend.
Is not
my friend Fred. Hey, Fred.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we're born scientists. What do we do when we're kids? We're crawling. That's Neil deGrasse Tyson said. When we're born,
you're word salad me. I'm getting bored.
All I'm saying is that you use this word science as if it's a solid thing that just covers everything. I mean, it does to a certain extent, but it can get rather vague at some points.
Okay, and religion is okay. All right, on that point.
And religion
on that point, religion covers everything to a certain extent, but it can get vague at other points. So what's the difference?
I agree. When people just generically uses words like religion and science, it really doesn't specify nothing, because both of them are rather.
I'm going to make a profound statement. Science is useful, but it doesn't give us knowledge. That's the profound statement.
Say it again. Science is useful, but it doesn't give us knowledge. Is that what you said?
Not in the philosophical sense.
Are those the words you use? Science is useful, but it doesn't give us knowledge.
Okay, I'll put it like this.
No. Hold on. Let the man answer the question.
No, hold on.
I think I know what you're trying to say.
What? I'm not talking to you.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you guys listen. Let me speak for myself, like you said.
Yes.
So,
please.
In philosophy, we call knowledge justified true belief. So that's a belief that's true and has a sufficient warrant for believing it to be true. And I'm suggesting that science is unable to give us justified true beliefs. It's unable to give us knowledge.
Yeah, I think I know or wisdom.
I don't understand then. What is science?
Okay, so look, there's a difference. Okay, so watch this. There's a difference between wisdom and science. Okay, so I could be the greatest physicist of all time, but make poor decisions as far as relationships. There's certain decisions I made in my life I shouldn't have. That's a different kind of intelligence from just being book smart and knowing all the biology and anatomy of the human body. So there is a difference between wisdom, right, and using science. Because you got Albert Einstein.
Oh my goodness! Now you're really struggling to make any sense at all. In fact, okay. Tread. Hold on a minute. We have a new guest. And I'd like to introduce you to my friend Tread. Hi, Tread.
Hello. Yeah. So,
hey man, I wanted to talk with you, but I've blocked some people, so I can't really talk in the chat. But it's good to have you here because I noticed you were saying it's amazing that there's still religious people today. I'd say the opposite. I'm amazed that there are non-religious people today. That's amazing to me.
Well, good. So maybe it's my turn to speak if you can have a two-way conversation.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just back right the fuck up. So you can't have nothing. Because if there's nothing, there's no atoms, there's no neutrons, there's no, there's nothing. So, man created that word nothing. So, that's just a small mind of men. No man knows everything, so he can't derive correct decisions based on not knowing all the facts. That basically covers what Alvin was saying. So you can have the smartest man on the planet, he's still an idiot. So, without being on the outside of the universe, there's no such thing. Man thinks there's a wall. Man creates there's an end. Man fathoms there's a beginning. These things just come from his vocabulary. They're just, you got to back up, man. It's animal, plant, mineral. God does not fit in that fathom. So mankind is an animal, and he created his imagination. His imagination is invisible sky daddy.
We are creating physical objects, though. Man is. Right? So there is
Oh, yeah, but okay, listen. So let's just simplify things. So if you put 50 apes in a freaking, jail cell and you throw them 95 types of crayons, of course we're going to wake up the next day and look at what they drew on the walls and, try to say there's an intellect there. Man is no different, finding all these periodic elements, that are within our confines of our planet.
Well, and you can see yourself.
Sorry?
You can see yourself that way, but we're all made in the image of God.
Well, here, how about this? Okay.
Yes. Anyways, so man hooks something up the next day. Eureka, hey, I just invented something. I mean, big deal. Big deal. He found a few periodic elements. He created something. Whip-de frickin' ding.
So I'm thinking more on a more technological way, okay? Because now, we have this thing called genetic engineering, right? Where there is a certain technology on this planet called biology. It's technology to the point that it can even be reverse engineered. Like we have seedless grapes. I've seen scientists splice goat and spider genes together, and now the goats are producing spider web material in their milk in order to make stuff for like ropes and stuff. Like it's a technology, right? Now, see, when I see technology, the only people or thing I've seen it make that kind of stuff is humans. or thinking things, right? I haven't seen that made any other way. Now, that doesn't mean that proves it was made by something thinking. I guess there's a possibility something like that can happen on its own. But when you only see something made one way, it's not an unreasonable assumption. I'm like, okay, how did this happen?
Well, okay, so having to hear your point, it is a total reasonable consumption, or assumption, sorry, to understand that out of the hundreds of thousands of different species and the multiple phylums and the different, from crustaceans to marsupials to mammals to insects to all animal life on planet, every organism and all animals are eating, sleeping, and multiplying, except man. Man has, he's left his tree, he's left his family, he's left his garden under the tree, and he's pillaged the neighbor's tree and the neighbor's garden and the neighbor's female. And that's what man does. That does not make man, the smartest animal on the planet. Man calls himself the smartest animal on the planet. Man is the most de-evolved human or animal on the planet. All other animals eat, sleep, and multiply. Where mankind has lost the nature of his own freedom, not understanding he's an animal. That's why globalism is prevalent.
Now,
because they understand they are animals.
Here's the thing.
They multiply and they make myths and they make stories and they make invisible sky daddies and they fathom up, aliens and psychokinetic energy and, magical and ghosts and spirits and it's all a bunch of crap.
Okay, so look, I hate to use like a biblical term, but the only thing that really separates humans from other animals is the knowledge of good and evil, the morality, right? Like if a lion kills a little girl, that's not an evil lion. It's just acting off instinct. It's not maliciously attacking a girl because he gets an enjoyment out of it. It's just like, hey, there's a thing in my territory I need to annihilate, right? Humans are making decisions not based off instinct. They're based off a certain morality of some sort, right? And that's something humans have that animals don't. And that's really the only thing that's one of the major things that's separating us from animals.
Well, maybe you need to do the research. Every day, 21,000 people die of starvation every single day. And every day at this point, 2018, July, there's over 90 million people live in some form of slavery. So you call that civilized?
No, I'm not. It's not an absolutist thing where all humans are just great and beautiful. But even the humans that commit atrocious act are aware of such things of good and evil. They may not be doing it, but they have the cognitive ability to understand the concept. Animals don't have that, Like unless you're a sociopath. So sociopaths are people, we actually call that a defect when they can't really decipher what is good and what is bad. We actually call that a defect in humans.
Yeah, but right? Can I dissect what you just said? Like, you just said, we say. Well, again, let's back up. So, religion is thousands of years old. So it's based on hearsay. And it should be inadmissible to this day. But it's not. If you go to the court of law, they make you swear on the Bible. Why is that? And most of the courts are, governed by, secret societies, by the way, which know that there's no God. And there's
not so secret. Maybe Masons aren't secret anymore, really.
Well, no. They're not, but they're definitely in charge. They're definitely in charge. And they understand one thing, which I'm trying to get across to you, which is man's an animal and his nature is to eat, sleep, and procreate. Anything beyond that, it causes death. Anything. So it doesn't matter what he creates. It doesn't matter if he, creates vaccine for polio. It doesn't matter if he, creates, like vehicles or ashtrays or TVs or electronics or cords or copper. Anything man creates has caused thousands and thousands upon thousands of deaths.
and thousands upon thousands of life. People are living significantly longer now than they did just 100 years ago.
Well, yeah. Well,
with advancements in the medical field and stuff like that, agriculture, there was a point in time when there was only 10,000 humans on the planet. This is like hunter-gatherer days, where we was just, but after agriculture, we started learning stuff, started experimenting with medical stuff, and now we're to a point to where they actually, there's some people that says the 200-year-old man has been born already. Like, based off the advancements in the medical field, there is somebody born that will live to 200 years.
Yeah, yes, I've heard these stories, but my point is, I'm trying to see, like, some of the smartest men in the world, for example, scientists, which you brought up, or physicists, they understand one thing I'm trying to get across to you, which I'm not trying to say, I'm not trying to patronize you, I'm just trying to say, man's progress is only his ability to complicate simplicity. So
that's true.
We all lived under a tree with a garden under it and a family. It's as simple as that. Now it's about controlling thy neighbor, taking what thy neighbor has, pillaging what thy neighbor has, and making that neighbor conform to a system to alleviate ourselves, from strife. So the elites, they can sit 24/7 in a freaking bed, snap their fingers, and in comes breakfast and lunch and dinner, and then in comes, sex slaves and human slaves, and then they all get together and they auction off a bowl of maggots for 70 million. I mean, they have all the diamonds in the world, all the gold, all the jewelry, they have everything they want. And they know one thing at the top, which is no one man knows everything. So if no one man knows everything, then all mankind becomes mathematically incorrect in essentially most of his decisions.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even really disagree with a lot of what you're saying, right? I do think there is a tipping point where humans have to be like, okay, this planet can only take so much of what we're doing to it, right? And and really, humans are the major cause for the planet's issue. You got the whole global warming thing and all that stuff, right? But I do think that our ability to begin to ask questions to one another has been beneficial to a certain degree. Now, obviously, these tools that we have not been used to the greatest effect, right? With knowledge, I mean, knowledge is power. So it all depends on who's wielding that sword. So if you have somebody who's a good person, he's going to wield that sword towards something good. But if you're evil, you're going to use that knowledge for something a little more malignant, So yeah, I mean, I agree with some of the stuff you said.
Well, to simplify what you said, basically, the elites did meet back in 1998, and they, essentially all met with the positive aspect of man's progression, and let's continue on with population, and let's reach out to the stars and create new colonies. But the elites essentially voted. They made a decision back in 1998, and I won't bring up the group or where it took place, but they basically had a vote on it. They realized that you can't thermostat the planet. So I mean, it's absurd to think that you're going to stop this cycle from this star that we're on, from a cooling standpoint to a heating standpoint. But the problem is that it's a lot better that it heats up than it goes cool. So if it heats up, for example, there's going to be less clothing. Everyone needs air conditioner, and they need more water, and they need more electricity to run the air conditioner or some other type of power form. Now, if the Earth goes the other direction into freezing, well, then everyone needs like snow boots and snow gloves and snowmobile suits, and which is, well, let's the freaking planet. And that's exactly where man's going. That's why you have the military industrial complex. That's why you have the pharmaceutical corporations, and you have the elites right at the top running the whole show, pitting everyone against each other, breeding hatred, breeding, division.
I've actually heard some of this stuff you're saying, and it is cause for concern a little bit, because they say that at our rate, based off the rate of population and how much we use this planet, we're going to run out of resources in less than 500 years. In less than, like, at the rate that we're going, if it just continues and doesn't stop some of this, like the cars, the consumption of all the meat and like the cows, all this stuff, we're going to run out of stuff in less than 500 years. So there are people. Now here's the strangest one I've heard. I don't know if you heard of this. There's a scientist, well, I'll use that word loosely when I talk about him, that is suggesting a way to genetically make humans smaller, right? So instead of men growing to like 5'10", 6 feet, he wants to reduce their size down to 3 feet tall. That way we won't consume as much stuff. Isn't that ridiculous? Like, this is a thing where they're talking about ways of reducing the size of humans. That way the resources. Now, what I found interesting about that is, let's say that actually happened and he got his wish and they found a way to make humans only 3 feet tall, 2 feet tall. They will then have stories about the giants. Man, there used to be a time when we were 6 feet tall. Like, that is tripped out. Now that sounds like a science fiction movie right there.
Well, there's nothing saying that we can't populate other planets, and there's nothing saying that they're not already living, under the moon surface. I mean, information's a valuable commodity, but who's saying that the Earth is overpopulated? I mean, it's not one man's right to say something to another man. So if Sydney, for example, says the sky's blue,
it's not even overpopulated. You know what? It's not even overpopulated. It's the resources each human uses that's sucking up. Because really, you could fit all of humanity in the Grand Canyon. Like, if you take all 9 billion peoples and just stack them up in the Grand Canyon, you can fit all of humanity in like a little area in the Grand Canyon, right? So it's not.
Yeah, sorry to interject, but this entire conversation is putting the cart before the horse. We should talk about the horse. Okay, the horse is like the House of Saud that has $120 trillion in oil reserves alone. Not to mention hundreds of trillions of dollars. And then you have royal houses, and then you have the Pope, and then you have the Vatican. You have everyone sitting on a gold throne, and everyone owning continents, essentially, saying it's theirs when they're nothing but equals to us. They're two-legged animals. This whole monopoly game has gone frickin', full speed ahead, to the point where people are being born into a monopoly game where there's people playing it already that have $2 billion in their pocket. And then you have someone starting the game with $10. So we live in a capitalist type world, and that's why the elites have such a grip on everyone. That's the horse I'm talking about. So
yeah,
it's just like,
we could blame.
Well, it's just like Trump says, drain the swamp. Well, back the frick up. More than half the people that signed the Declaration of Independence, were Freemasons. Okay, more than 30-40% of the Supreme Courts are Freemasons. More than 30 to 40% of all people in the highest positions in police or FBI or all these agencies are Freemasons. I mean, you got England fighting over Brexit. Brexit's not even a fucking country. These are globalist created entities to control and manipulate people and to frickin' slow kill populists. It's as simple as that. So there's just really no way, this is going to get fixed by arguing and bickering over frickin' invisible sky daddies, which were created out of myth, out of religions so old that they're based on hearsay and they're inadmissible. And I want to back up to when I first came in. Why do they have people swearing on the Bible in the court of law? Because the judge wants to look at that person when they swear on that Bible. So if you want to win your court case, it's easy. Just do what O.J. Simpson did. When you put your hand on the Bible, close your eyes and raise your head into the sky and say, God, I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. And that's all the judge is looking for. Are you a fucking dope-headed, brain-dead fucking sheep that's going to tell the truth this day? Because if you look the judge in the eye and you just spit out those words and the judge is looking at you and they disbelieve that you're a religious sheep, then they're going to look at you with analytical eyes and they will sentence you a freaking long freaking time.
I think, okay, so let's back it up a little bit. I think when people say religion, it's reduced down to just believing in a God, right? But it's really it's really about, hey, these are the codes of ethics I choose to live by. These are the things I'm going to follow in day-to-day life, right? Now, they'll say, hey, there's a God behind it, but the idea of a God existing is really like 10% of the religion. The religion is actually involved in, okay, I'm going to do this on this day. I'm going to do that on this day. I'm going to treat this person a certain way. It's more about practice necessarily more so than belief. I mean, because you have people like a Maltheist. A Maltheist is somebody who believes God is real, but they hate him. Like they, I mean, I don't know if I would call that person religious, but they believe in God, but they just don't like him. So I do think religion sometimes gets a little watered down in its meaning. It's not so much as like, hey, I believe in miracles and supernatural creatures. More so as like, hey, these are the codes of ethics I choose to live by. This is how I'm going to treat people and all that stuff.
Well, yeah. So let me introduce myself. So, yeah, I was adopted by a 32-degree Freemason, and I was raised basically, by a Freemason. And yeah, he owned a couple of drugstores, and he sold a couple $100 million worth of drugs and placebos, a bunch of old people that didn't need them, and they all died without wills, and rich people in the town just divided all the money, the bankers, the cops, Joe Blow and Joe Schmo, and it's all about just raping and pillaging, maligning, and suckering in the frickin' sheep, turning people into a bunch of brain dead idiots. I mean, they have commercials on TV right now where it's like, Google, take a selfie. Like the children growing up today, right? I mean, they're going to be monitored, 24/7. What they eat, what they say, what they think, where they are, their location, their blood type, their footprint, their palm print. And who is doing this to them? Like I said, this is the horse. There's a giant horse on this freaking planet, which everyone freaking ignores. Media ignores, even you're ignoring it right now. I'm trying to put it in front of you.
And I mean, I'm aware of the horse. Look, I mean, as far as surveillance, it's already happening now. It's called Facebook. People put their every move of what's happening in their life and chronicle it in the status. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's already happening. We have more we have more information on nobodies than we do kings and emperors from 2,000 years ago. Like I can look up just a regular average citizen of America and pull up documentations about how this person thinks. And I'm not even the US government. I can just type in their Facebook page and look at their statuses and come to some kind of idea of what this person is. I can get pictures of them. So it's like, look, the horse is there. You know what I'm saying? I agree that's a horse. And I'm just talking about the things surrounding the horse. Because we're already being surveilled.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm surveilled. I mean, I mean, my Facebook gets deleted. You know, if I joined Facebook tonight and gave them my real name and uploaded all my military pictures, the entire account would be deleted.
You were in the military?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got all kind of eyeballs on you now.
Yeah, I already know that. I've already been there, done that. I've already, you know, this is not my first rodeo. You know, I've hung with elites, you know, the better part of my life. And I still hang with them. So if Department of Homeland Security, the top 70 freaking men on the planet, or if Global Pacific Fleet Command, you know, if they all get together in a room, I'm there. And I'm always there.
What, were you in Iraq or Afghanistan or? No,
I was in the Canadian service, and I was only over in, you know.
You're in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Canada, America, same thing.
Yeah, North America. Yeah.
Well, Canada, it's Canada now. The Queen took it after they assassinated JFK. The Queen brought in elite globalists, and the Queen bought up USA. And ever since then, all the, like Obama, 33-degree Freemason works for the Queen. And prior to that, Skull and Bones, the Bushes, they work for the Queen. And the Queen usurped America long time ago. And yeah, she chopped it up, and you know, she's.
How come we're not using the Queen's money?
Queen's money. Listen, if the 13 wealthiest families call in debt, nobody on the planet has any money. Nobody. Only, you know, the Pope and the Vatican, the House of Assad, and the royals. That's it. If they ever call in their debt, nobody has money. Everyone loses their house, their property, their land. Everyone ends up in a soup kitchen lineup tomorrow. If they shut down the internet and they call in their debt, there's no such thing as currency. All gold and silver will be scooped up. And United Nations, the most massive military known to mankind is United Nations, over 40 countries. When you put those soldiers together, there's no country can defeat it. And they're controlled by globalists. And that's why you have the Georgia Guidestones. And they've been standing there since, you know, prior to 2000. Number one thing on the Georgia Guidestones: reduce the world's population, or keep the world's population at 500,000, which is a conspiracy to kill 6.5 billion people. And it's standing nice and tall in Georgia, if you ever want to read it. Georgia Guidestones, put up by a Freemason. And it's going to stay there. And they're going to attempt it, and they're going to rock this frickin' world. It's just a matter of when. Because when you have one piece of meat, which is the planet, and you have a bunch of wild animals, which is mankind, they're always going to fight over the piece of meat until one alpha frickin' dog, you know, wants to divide the meat. And they don't want to divide the meat with a bunch of, you know, religious sheeple. They want to divide the meat with a small group. So what the future is really looking at is something along the line of like Hunger Games, the movie Hunger Games. You know, I'm not trying to say it's going to be like that, but I'm trying to say that we are progressing towards that. That's what the elites want to see. You know, they want to see one society where what they deem as the best bloodline and the most wealthy and the most elite, and the people that understand only three things: eat, shit, multiply. Okay? So the wealthiest people that understand eat, shit, and multiply, and all the rest is human imagination, those people will, you know, rule this planet someday. Now, how long is that going to, you know, stay in position? Not long, not long. And they even know the game themselves. Every time there's an emperor, like in Rome, you know, down they come. You know, history always gets defeated by the, you know, the populace, the numbers of people. That's why this time they're going to roll it out differently. Okay? You know, they essentially plan a world war. And it's just a matter of when. So everything man builds, he uses, and everything man builds, he abuses. So only a moron is going to think that, you know, these aren't going to pop. Biological weapons aren't going to be used. Neutrons are not going to be used. Nuclears are not going to be used. Chemical weaponry is not going to be used. Only a moron would think like that. It's all being built, and it's all going to be used. Meanwhile, what do you have the people doing? You know, they're watching grown men kick a freaking soccer ball around the freaking field. You know, they're so sucked into sports. They're freaking brain dead. They're on their mobile devices, you know, texting like, 12 hours a freaking day. We're watching the Kardashians. Well, how many Benoit balls can she smash up her vajayjay tonight? Or whose vajayjay smells the worst? I mean, that's what they're looking at on the Kardashians. Well, they're watching Star Search. Oh, look at this human. He can sing do, re, mi, fa, sol in 3 different octaves. Who gives a flying fuck? So when they put the TV in front of you and the sports and the media and all these distractions, sex, drugs, rock and roll, punk rock, rap, cars, TV, stereos, when they put all this technology in front of you, that's when they just love it. Because these elites are just eating, shitting, and procreating, having sex, 24/7 with anything they want, any age they want, any animal they want. That's all they do. And that's why they're much, much, much more powerful, because they are animals. So I'm trying to just bring you back. I'm not trying to complicate your life. I'm trying to bring you back to the nature of your own freedom, which is you're an animal. So if your phone rings, what does that mean? It means eat, shit, multiply. Once you pick up that phone, someone's going to, try to eat you out of a few bucks, or they're going to shit on you, or they're going to try to fuck you up. That's why I don't even answer my phone. That's why I don't own a cell phone. That's why I don't have a GPS in my freaking car. That's why I bought a brand new camera that had a GPS, and the first thing I did was freaking open the camera and take the freaking thing out. When Facebook asked my freaking phone number, or Google asked my phone number, I always typed the same thing, 1-800-EAT-SHIT. So they know my vote. And I'm still here, I'm still alive, because they don't care who knows anymore, because there's nothing you can do. There's nothing I can do. And I came from the heavy artillery. So if I went radical and full freaking retard and, started doing, things which the government wouldn't like me to do, well, then they would put me down like a rabid dog. There's nothing people can do anymore. They have full control. They're way ahead of the game. And it's all written there in the Scottish Rite Creed. So if you Google Scottish Rite Creed, that's all you have to type in. Scottish Rite Creed. And you read it, there it is. We want this, we are going to do this, and we are going to do this, and there's going to be a supreme rule, and there's going to be a supreme equality, and they have already decided where you're going to go, where your family's going to go, where next generation's going to be. It's already there, and it's already written in stone, and it's written in words, and it's written in the, the back rooms of all the elites. They all understand the game. That's the horse. And why even talk about it? Because what can you do about it?